All right, coming up on today's edition of the Art Marketing Podcast, I feel like I've known you for a long time, but we aside from one phone call, we haven't really talked. But an extremely talented and successful artist in Terry Sauve. She's located up in Northern California. We're going to peel back all of the layers and get into an incredibly fun conversation. So, Terry, welcome to the Art Marketing Podcast. Give us a quick intro, and then, or you know what? I'm going to read now. Full disclosure. First of all, if we're not evolving and having fun with technology, what are we doing, right? So I had my fancy little AI scrape your website and scrape your Instagram, and this is what it came up with. Okay, this is what it came up with. So,
oh my God!
All right. And we can both laugh at it, but I'm reading it. So Terry is a Northern California-based oil painter who's built a remarkable career. By the way, on pace for a record year, which we're going to get into, creating luminous landscape paintings that capture the magical quality of light across the American West. After painting, quotes, for the joy of it for most of her life, and I definitely want to hear about that, Terry made a pivotal decision in 1996 to move to San Francisco and train formally at the Academy of Art College, where she studied with some of the Bay Area's best painters, names like Brian Blood, Craig Nelson, and Randall Sexton. And when she did her first public art festival in 2000, the doors of the art world flew open. She was immediately picked up by one of Sausalito's best galleries and has since exhibited in galleries and festivals throughout the country. The intro goes on and on. Good enough. Welcome to the podcast.
Definitely good enough. Thank you. Oh my God. Just when you started reading my bio, I was like, oh my God. But yeah, there's some truth in all of it. The doors to the artwork flew open. I'm sure I took that from someone, but it was awesome because it was this rinky-dink little street fair. There were two of us there that were doing original art. It was imported stuff from Mexico and China, and just it was just like this little thing, and magic did happen. Like I ended up selling the little painting that I was working on, and the clients brought me to their home and brought people over to meet me, and a gallery did pick me up, and that gallery sold. And it wasn't, I don't know if it was one of the best galleries in Sausalito. It was a small gallery that sold 23 paintings in the 18 months that I was with them before they closed. So it was just, for me, like remarkable.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, totally
and
great.
Everything's awesome in Sausalito. That's just a special place.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. Obviously, I want to get into the success because she and I were talking offline before it started, and I'll let her get into details and we'll get into that in a second. But she is on the path to having her best year ever. And I was just saying that this has not been a year where most people are having their best year ever. And we were just sort of reflecting on, like, you cannot let the outward circumstances of whatever is going on derail your own progress, derail your own hustle, derail your own grind. But enough of that. Origin story. I want to go back to the beginning.
Oh, okay.
You were always an artist. Undergrad, you were an artist, just playing around hobby. Like, give me.
No. I mean, I was like, as a kid, I was crazy about doing anything creative, anything. I remember being 5 years old, the best Christmas of my whole life, because I got the Barbie sewing machine and the Easy Bake Oven, and I was like losing my mind, And so it was just like for fun. But drawing and painting was always for fun. And then in adolescence, it was like, you're really smart. We're moving so you can go to a great high school. You're advanced placement all the way. My dad was a tax attorney, a CPA, and a tax lawyer. So it was like practical. And, everything gets just tumultuous during adolescence, and it was lost in my late teen years and my 20s they were super interesting. It was a different life. It was like, got married way too young to someone who inherited a bunch of money. We flew all around, traveled around the world, had a house in Maui, had a house in Texas. Me and my heart was like, I got to be doing something meaningful and purposeful. Did grad school for a while, thought I was going to study the great apes in Africa. I went and worked on the Indonesian orangutan project. Wow. And it really partied hard, too hard, had way too much, just had ideas, had things I wanted, could never follow through. And like, it just melted down and everything, like divorce at 27, find my way. And at 29, I'm like, I'm starting over. Like I am gonna, and it was my mom one day, and we were just talking. She goes, "It's so funny. Like I always thought you'd be an artist." And I remember being like, nobody told me I could be an artist.
Wow.
What? Be an artist? And then I had this little financial buffer because my ex and I had split up. And it
Hmm.
was just like, I'm moving to San Francisco. I'm going to go to this art school. And that's what I did. And at that time I still thought, well, I'll find a serious 9 to 5 career like interior architecture, but just for myself, I'm going to take all these painting and drawing classes
Hmm.
for joy, for fun. And in doing that, that's when I got to see art teachers who were successful artists. And it was like light bulb, like, hey, you actually could be an artist. And so I just was like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I took
Wow.
that landscape painting class with Brian Blood, and it was also a pivotal moment because the teachers will show you slides of their work the first day of class.
Hmm.
And he was so awesome because he was so successful and so good, but he also showed us slides of, here's what my plein air paintings looked like 5 years ago when I first started doing them. And they
Oh,
were
great
they were
teacher.
just
Great
so
teacher.
mediocre. Like,
Yeah.
and it was like hugely like, oh my God, if he could go from this to this in 5 years, like I can go somewhere.
Hmm.
So that was it. And I just that was the one thing for a long time that I did right, was I painted and was consistent. And all the other stuff about the selling and the marketing has been a long, slow, love, hate, bumpy road that we can get into. And I finally feel like really at peace and settled with that stuff, and know
Amazing.
have a sense of what I'm doing.
One thing I want to ask, a pointed question. One, I'm just curious. I have a vague understanding of art schools. Okay. And I have a strong loathing for them. Not because they're not great and because they don't teach you, but more often than not, they don't teach you any of the business side of the equation ever, right? What you said
Yeah.
stuck out is like your teachers were actually successfully selling artists rather than successfully educated artists that are just teaching and have none of the business side of it. Which is that super unique to your school? I'm not used to hearing that.
I feel like it is,
Yeah.
honestly, because it's like there are the schools that are like the Art Institute, and it's much more about what is your uniqueness, what is your concept. And this was more of a practical atelier. Like you learn how to paint,
Hmm.
but first you have to learn how to draw, then you study composition and color, then
Yeah.
you move on to like it's a building. And there was very much sharing of um how to. I'll remember one of my teachers, Craig Nelson, who, I mean, he's runs the fine art department, he's well into his career. And I remember him saying, like, every time something comes in, like, oh, an offer to have my work here or this, my wife thinks, this is it. This is it. And he goes,
Hmm.
and it's never it. It's just always building the next thing. You just keep doing the next right thing. Like, and for most people, there's not this like meteoric rise to stardom. It's
Yeah.
just a slow, steady build, and everything you do adds up, right?
So true. Yeah, and but the fact that everything that I just heard, the fact that that came out of a college, that is now the best college in the United States for artists, in my opinion, because like giving the actual business sense and the fact that it's a grind and the fact that it's not supposed to happen overnight and that you constantly think this is going to be it, this is my big break, oh, let down, and then you go and get the next one and the next one and the next one, and then one day you wake up and you're like, how did I get here, right?
Yeah. And it's funny too, because like on one hand, I heard and absorbed that message. And on the other hand, for at least 10 years, like I kept waiting for my big break and to be discovered.
Hmm.
Like, it takes a lot to break through that. Like you think someone's going to find you and like, oh, I love your work, I'm going to represent you, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do that for you. Like I always had this picture that I would just get to be in my studio painting and like handing my paintings off.
Yeah.
And it was a rude awakening. I remember talking to this woman. I think she might have even been an interior designer, but she had a foot in the art world. in like 2013 and saying that to her, like, I just wish I could meet someone who would be like my agent and represent, and she just, and do all this for me. And she was like, I gotta tell you, I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to have to go out and do all this yourself. And it was just like, ah, but then
I
it
know.
did, like, oh my God, I got to suit up and show up and start doing all this stuff that I've been like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And so, yeah. And I think it was 5 years after that that you guys came somehow knocking on my door, sent me emails. I followed up, had a phone call, and it was like, okay, let's try this.
Yeah, and I love hearing that, by the way, because is it any different in life at all? I mean, the hardest thing for the artist is that you have to gain a technical proficiency in multiple different disciplines, right? One, the
Mm-hmm.
craft, and then two, how to story tell and market the craft. For me, I feel like all I got to do is market. Although, I mean, it doesn't matter. What you explained is every single solitary artist's deepest, darkest desire, just to be in the studio and hand off the art to someone else. And
Yep.
you could just be creative without any of that pain, right? Which is
Yeah.
just not the case. It's just not how it works. So going back to that, and I'm now literally going to go study all of those teachers that you mentioned, and I literally think that school's that's the closest I've heard of anyone getting any sort of business insights in an art school education, just about, period, because no one ever teaches you how to do that. They never teach you anything about marketing. They never teach you anything about pricing your art, about how to story tell your art. Like, those are just classes that are not there. Compositions, the masters, framing, all the various different movements throughout the years, and nothing about, like, oh, by the way, you need to run a business. Anyway,
It's so very true, because I think there's a mindset of like, there are artists that are in business and there are artists that are like true artists, right?
Yeah.
So I have a friend who at 50 spent like what, 60 grand to go get her master's at the Art Institute of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And her big plan was, when you graduate, they give you a show, and that's where you make your connections.
Mm-hmm.
That's the value of this huge amount of money. They don't teach you how to paint better. It's they whatever they do, they criticize you, they review you, they help you along, but it's this big show where you meet people in the art world. Well, that year was COVID, so it was online. That was it. That's what
Well,
she got, like
yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
right? And so I agree with you that there has to be more emphasis on, like, if you want to be an artist and really do your art and make a living, because it's too hard to do other things full time and just do
Yeah.
it on the side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's side hustle is so hard, and yet there's so many artists that are in that shape. So, okay, coming out of one of what I'm now calling the preeminent art school in all of the art world, explain those first couple of years and those first couple of grinds. And did you go as far to say it was like an entire decade until you feel like you really started seeing solid success?
Oh, yeah, because I was still very like, I had a million things going on during
Mm-hmm.
those years, right? Like
Yeah.
I was finding my way as a new person who had like going through my own like recovery issues, and psychologically I like got married. We were remodeling a house. I had a boy in 2005, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
those years of trying to, so I was still spreading myself. I was teaching yoga. I was working, in the fitness world, and I just was still like under that illusion of like, oh, I'll do these open studios and I have this gallery, like I'm waiting to be discovered. I'm waiting to be discovered. And I would paint. That was the one thing that I did do consistently. I never succumbed to like, I don't feel like painting. It's a painter's block. I had read the book like Seven Habits of Highly
The
Effective
effective
People.
people.
And
Yeah.
there's this like huge thing of like, you have to make the time for the things that are non-urgent but important. And so for me, that was painting.
Yeah.
And waiting to be discovered. But so yeah, so we moved up to Sonoma County in 2011, and I did my first real art festival. And by real, it was just actually about art and not about imported crip crap on the street.
Yeah.
And it was just a 1-day festival up in Healdsburg, wealthy area, wine country, and collected a bunch of emails, right? So it's like, that's how it started. And then we did it again the next year. And the next year, it was so slow, Patrick. It was ridiculous how slow it was. Someone said, there's an art festival in Mill Valley. You should check that out. So it's like every year kind of started doing another couple of things. And then the other thing that just really like was just insane was doing the open studio program in Sonoma County.
What's that?
They 2 open studios a year. They're put on by the art center. You pay like $475. You get your picture in the collector's guide with printed maps. Here's where everyone is. It's 2 full weekends.
Wow.
I did that for the first time in 2012, but earlier that year, because I'm working it, I'm hustling. When I moved to Sonoma County, there was a space right on Main Street that it was a nonprofit that this guy was give to emerging artists for 1 month. If they had a vision, if they had a purpose. And I hounded and found out where I could get in touch with him. And he said, you really don't fit the exact criteria of emerging. You've been doing this a while and you have gallery representation, but you really want it. I like your work. And I had an idea too. My son was going to a school, a small school, kids that had certain special needs. And I'm like, I want to do a fundraiser for this school. I'll give away 20% of every sale. And so I got this space for a month. In January. It was facing Main Street with these huge windows that were lit. So it would get dark at 4:30, 5 o'clock. And there's my big, beautiful paintings lit up. And people all around this small town, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? So when Open Studio came in 2012, it was like, oh my God, I sold 25 original paintings.
Wow.
I made $38,000 my first open studio in Sonoma County. It was like, this is insane. And that ended up, over all the years being one of the top ones, but it was always consistent. It was always consistent. And then just like collecting emails, doing an email newsletter, doing the just all these things. That's really one of the big things is just suit up and show up. When we were still in San Francisco, sometimes someone would buy a painting and I'd have to ship it. I'd go to the mail store, right?
Yeah.
The mail store, but it was on Fillmore Street, which was the shishi, high-end Pacific Heights. And he was like, Terry, I just love your work. I know it's a mail store, but I just love to put one of your pieces in the window. And I was like, why not? Who's walking down this street, right? So there's like my painting, my big painting hanging in the window, and below it is packing tape and, all their like products.
The mail store.
Right? And I get a call from one of the top realtors in San Francisco. I saw your work. I'd like to come over, like they've been clients now over the years, bought big paintings, medium paintings. So it is that kind of like let go of your ego and like when a door opens, kind of listen and go, yeah, I'll try this. Right.
Yeah.
So moved to Sonoma County and just gradually started building the art festivals, the open studio twice a year. And then I met someone in 2015 at an art show, and he was so cool. Us artists were like, you're stuck next to someone for 3 days at a show.
You get to know them. Yeah.
You get to know them. That's like the best thing. You get to be friends. And he goes, I just really see something in you and your work. And I've been doing this 20 years and I'd like to mentor you. It was like, what? So he did. The first thing he said is, girl, you need to go where the money is. There's shows down in the desert. And he's the one that told me about La Quinta Art Celebration.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to change your tent from this to this. You need to get a 10 by 20. And he taught me how to do it. He taught me how to set up my tent. He said, you need to paint something big and you need to put a big price tag on it.
Oh, I love this guy already.
So I went down to the desert. I painted is a diptych, is two 36-inch squares next to each other. And I priced it at $10,000. And my husband and son were like, that's too much. Are you crazy? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I felt it in my heart. Like, this is the right number. And this wonderful couple came and they're looking at it. And he said, I've never spent more than like $1,000 on a piece of art. Can you tell me why this is worth it? And I'd done enough work up to that point where I could, like, in my body, no, let me tell you why this is worth it. It is. I'm a really good painter. I'm trained at, you know, I'm classically trained. I know what I'm doing. You can see similar things in a gallery for more. And I just, laid it out. Here's the
Mhm.
truth. This is worth it. And they went around and thought about it and came back and they bought it. And when we got to deliver it to their home, we like were pulling into their, gated,
Palatial estate. Yeah.
their gated community, and we're just at the gate, and we're just like laughing hysterically. It was so insane. Like, this house was so insane. And but the main thing was, it's just like, everything you talk about, like, we made a connection. They love my work. They're the most wonderful people. He would send me pictures 2 years later, views of this diptych from outside on the pool deck. Is one of these open houses. Like, you could see from where they hung it, you could see it from like 10 different places.
Oh, I
And he'd
love
go,
that.
I just love this. So it's so many things have been like, you listen to what's coming in, and when it resonates, it's like, I got to try this. And then it unfolds. Then you got to pay attention and go, yes, I've learned my lesson now. This is how I do things.
And is that on all of those? It sounds like you need to distill all this wisdom for how to rock shows. Do you still do that? One huge piece, showstopper, extremely expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least one. Like, the last November of 24, we did the show down in La Quinta, and the fall show is typically much, much, much less than the spring show. It's a
Mhm.
newer show. They're still building it. It's a different beast. And I had a triptych on the wall,
Mhm.
4 feet by 9 feet, way
Whoa,
bigger,
whoa,
right?
that's huge.
And I'd had it for a while. I had done another triptych that size that had sold through the gallery. An artist friend owned gallery, and it had sold for 20. I'd priced it
Mhm.
at 25,000. She called me up. She said someone wants to write a check for 20, and I was like, okay. So again, marketing, right? I'm talking to my good friend next to me, and he said, Terry, you know what I've done with all my more expensive paintings is I've taken the price tag off. That way, because I would watch people walk up to it and go, ah,
Yeah,
and turn and run away.
yeah.
$25,000. They're running away. So I took the price tag off. Then people get to come up to you and say, what's the deal with this? Is it for sale, or what are you asking? Right. And
Yeah.
now you're in a conversation. And so I saw this man, he came up and asked me, and I mean, I was completely transparent. I said, I'll be transparent with you. I took the price down because I felt like it was scaring people away. I don't think people come to this show expecting to pay my full gallery price of $25,000. But I want to be able to have the chance to tell people I'm open to a reasonable offer. And in this case, like, we needed this show. We needed the money. So I also added in, and I'm like, you know what? I would actually go under 20. And I left it at that. And he and his designer, and they're like, okay. Then they walked around, and then he came back and he said, would you take 17.5? And I'm not a hard negotiator when it's
Yeah.
like that. Like, it was like, yes, I will. Right.
Hmm.
And our whole show was 26. So without that big sale, that's how important that was. So yeah, that's been a really great thing that I've been doing. And there are a lot of people who are like, oh, I would never, offer you less than your price. And there are other people who that's just the way they operate. It's a game. They have to get a deal.
A
And so,
100%. I
like,
rant I rant about this all the time, like
you
literally
do.
all
I
the time.
listen to you.
Yeah. And because it pisses me off. It's like $17,000 one sale, right? And by the way, I could also argue the flip side, which is like those people that run up and scoff at the high price. You scaring them off is the best thing you could ever do, because all they're going to do is take your time and just not buy anything. But anyway. When you leave yourself open to negotiate, it's a game to these people. It's a game to these people. If they can't feel like the thrill of the hunt and the kill, you might not make the sale, period. And so leaving yourself open to negotiate is so huge. And also having the high prices is huge, right?
It is.
$17,000 means nothing to them. It means nothing to them. It's no different than you writing a check for $150. And artists get so terrified to ask for it. Now, granted, we should look at some of your work too. And Terry, how do I get this on the stage? There we go. Terry and I were talking about this because I love the desert. I mean, the last time I was out in the desert was literally Thanksgiving. I go out there a lot. And
Awesome.
once you see these colors, the colors, like the desert has like such a distinct color palette to it, which I absolutely love. And you literally, so every time you go, you get the photographs and then you go home and you finish it off that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Go out hike in the morning, go out sunset drives in the evening. I've got so many photo files, it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, but you're the level of detail that you've matured to. I mean, it's like this is no easy task to be able to paint and have it look like this. How long does the painting take you, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
The number one asked question. It depends on the piece, and it depends how familiar I am with it. Honestly, if it's the Golden Hills of California that I've painted so many times and it's really familiar, a 3x4 foot painting is possible to get done in 3 or 4 days, but I don't work long hours anymore, in terms of painting physically. I'm 58, my hands hurt. I got, old sports injuries. And so it's just like, 4 or 5 hours is a good day for me. 6 hours is an awesome
day for anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, to be in the studio. It used to be that's all I did. And I used to have a cycle of like exertion, exhaustion, exertion, exhaustion. And now I'm just like, my goal is to just be consistent, balanced, regular bite-sized actions. It's just like everything works out.
Mantra. Suit up and show up. I mean, absolutely love it. No, and people are asking, no, she doesn't paint on top of the photograph. She just uses it as reference.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I'll take a series of photos, and then from those photos, create the composition. Once in a while, you get a photo that's like, oh, like that's almost perfect, and you want to paint that. And then other times, it's like, oh, I like the way this. You create the composition because you're an artist. You get to do that.
You're exactly right. That's what you do. But I love the detail work. And Terry and I offline were talking about one of my dad's favorite artists, and her like look very, very similar. And it's like I've grown up with these pieces around my house, so that has like such a nostalgic vibe for me. I would be curious to sort of understand the makeup of the business. And I want to talk about the year that you're having this year because it's just such an encouraging story. But in terms of the makeup of the business, how many originals are you selling a year? What percentage originals versus reproductions? How much online versus the shows? And I don't need exact figures, just big picture talk versus gallery representation. And how is that all working? Be curious about that. Because you're, which is not fair to many people. You are in, I mean, one of the areas that just doesn't make sense, period. Right. Because there's so much tech money, like for someone that's not been there and like has not had like, some experience with it, like the sheer amount of money running around Northern California over the last, like, call it 20 years is just, it's absolutely staggering. It's like on another level. Like I'm down here in Southern California, and Southern California is a ritzy place. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of that. And, every day you see luxury cars. Okay, great. I feel like the Bay Area is on just another level, like crazy. So
it's true. I mean, I'm so aware of like how much just good fortune and luck has come into this. When I first remember how I told you I was trying to land that spot to do that get that space for 30 days to show my work.
Yeah.
When I went there was a man showing his work, and he was a professor at UC Berkeley, and it was these amazing sculptures, right? And we're chatting, and I'm talking to him. And I said, I want to be a painter. Like, that's what I want to do for a living. And he just, with kindness and honesty, said, I got to tell you, it is almost impossible to make a living as a painter. And I was just, totally undaunted. I'm like, nonetheless, like, I'm going to give it a try. And then I gave him my business card, right? It was a different image, but he looked at it and he went, is this your work? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, this is oil. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, you can make a living doing this.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was just another one of those gifts, right? Because landscapes are that back to the what I was trying to get at is people, it's a good market for landscapes.
Yeah.
People spend the extra money to live here because it's beautiful, because they love the landscape. So, I'm just under no illusion how lucky I got in certain things. Of I chose what I chose, I ended up where I ended up. None of it was strategic. It just, this is how it
Yeah.
unfolded, right?
Yeah. And I love that. So so to the business,
Okay.
originals, galleries, and I'm totally curious how you're navigating the goes and theirs with the gallery relationships, because that's always a hot button topic for folks. And then
I have very little with galleries, honestly,
anyone?
very little. I have a wonderful gallerist in Napa,
Mhm.
and she loves me, and she's given me her front room. And I guess I could say that those sales are more reflective of like the general economy. They're kind of
Mhm.
few and far between, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I love her. I'm grateful to have gallery representation. And then the other gallery that I was in was Essence Arts down in La Quinta.
Mhm.
And oh my God, talk about a dynamic couple. It's an artist friend of mine, Tom Boatwright. His wife is his full-time marketer. So she's like, this is a hot market. Boom, we're opening a gorgeous gallery. So
Mhm.
she handpicked a few of us artists and we became friends. And that gallery was also few and far between. And part of that was definitely because of the big art festival that's down there.
Yeah.
I had approached another great gallery down there years ago, and she said, I will not take an artist that does that show, because people, they know which artists are doing that show. They will wait all year to buy from the artist. And when I told my friend who was running the gallery that, I said, this one gallerist told me, she goes, that makes perfect sense. She goes, I've got people like you. I've got this sculptor will sell $200,000 at La Quinta. I'm lucky if I can sell one piece of his all year long. So there was that, but it was wonderful. And then this year with all the craziness with our friends in Canada,
Yeah.
they stopped coming.
Yeah.
And she was just like, yeah, Canadians were a third of our business. So and it was kind of a relief to her. They have so many irons in the fire and they've got so much going on. So she closed that gallery. So right now I've got one gallery that does a few things,
Mhm.
and she understands that I make my living selling directly and through festivals. And that's where the bulk of it is. I can't tell you how many paintings I sell a year. I think I looked this year, I think I've painted about 75.
Wow.
um and then it just depends on like, well, are we talking about a huge triptych that's 4 feet by
Yeah.
nine
Yeah. Yeah.
feet
Yeah.
or are we talking about these little ones that can be knocked off in an afternoon?
100%.
But
Why you
i
got to sit
i
back at the napkin always, for sure, right?
I did look for reference for this podcast off of the website, the art
Mhm.
storefronts website. um my sales this year, and this was not including merch, because one of your agents helped me pull down the and make it into a spreadsheet, the information.
Mhm.
And merch is probably a few $100s more, but it was like 28,000 came from the website,
Mhm.
and just under six of that was three original paintings, right?
Nice. Yeah.
And one of those original paintings, one was sold directly from sending out a newsletter. Someone clicked on it, went to the website, bought the painting. So that was really fun. And then, so that leaves about $23,000 just in print sales this
Wow.
year
So
from the website.
that's growing for you as a segment then. That's awesome.
It's definitely growing. And
Yeah.
that's really like the vision that I'm holding is like I really want to have a more substantial piece of passive income.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's such a thing. Like, I've just listened to you so much and I get the value of selling the smaller things, the merch and the prints that are then, planting the seeds and leading people up the chain. Like, I'll never forget the first time this couple of these two awesome young men came to my tent and they're like, our apartment is covered with your little prints. We've got them here. We've got them here. We've got them here. And we're ready to buy our first original piece of art. And, they
Boom.
like
Boom.
spent
Yeah.
$900 on a painting. And so it's like, yes, that this is how it goes. And it's also just a way of like giving people something beautiful that they can hold on to when they're never going to be in that realm, right?
100. Yeah. Oh,
I used
100%.
I used to have this group of women who came to, they would always show up at my open studio when we were renting this insane house, and it had, people had to come in through the front door and come through the main areas of the house. The paintings were everywhere, and I'd put a spread of food out on
Mhm.
the buffet, and these women would come in every time, and they'd like sit down, and like they didn't like take a nibble, they made a plate, like here's where we
Oh,
eat
yeah.
lunch on our stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was always kind of like, oh my God, God bless him. And never bought anything. And then the year that I started putting out these little 8 by 10 matted paper prints that I was selling for like $25, like the woman had tears in her eyes, and she's like, there's finally something of yours I can afford to buy. And she was so happy.
Yeah. I
And
love stories like that.
yeah, it's like so much, it's like about the connection, and you're gifted to be able to, I feel I'm blessed to be able to do something that is like I love so much. Like I'm moved by the landscape so much. And
For sure.
then someone else gets to be moved. So yeah, so the rest of where I'm at this year, I mean, I'm definitely have like over, let's see, right now, my sales are at 276,000, and I've got $10,000 outstanding on commissions where people have given me the deposits as soon as I
Amazing.
finish. So I'll be at 285. And so, you know, close to 30 is from the website. That leaves 255, maybe 10 from the gallery. So that's about 275 in sales. That's from 2 open studios and a handful of good art festivals. And I listened to you early in the year when you talked about on your podcast, this looks like it's going to be possibly a recession year. What does that mean? That doesn't mean go hide in your studio. That means get out there even more. And
Yeah.
I remember
Gotta
being
go on
like, you know
offense.
what? I've got more energy in my tank this year because I took a little more time off last year to fill the well. And I'm like, I'm ready. I'm going to do this show in Bend I've never done. I'm going to do this show in Reno I've never done. I'm going to, say yes to a few more things, right?
I love
Someone been
this.
ding donging me about hanging my art in her salon that she's got a front room. And I was like, I'm going to frame up some of my prints and get QR codes on everything.
Yeah.
I joined the high end health club in Sonoma County. They do an art show in the upstairs hallway. It's like none of these things were profitable, but I'm growing my list. I'm growing my
Yep.
exposure. Like I just did that kind of like, hey, if it's going to be a tough year, like I'm willing to get on the ground and do whatever it takes. And you really did inspire me from that podcast.
Yeah, that makes me so happy. I absolutely love hearing that. The other thing too is like one with the ladies and the food. You, you feel so good about being able to do that, right? It's like, it's when everything aligns. It's like when doing the right thing is the right thing for the business too, and it like I rant incessantly about the lineup of prices, right? And the two gay guys coming to see you, presumably gay guys, the two of them, like that $900 piece now, 10 years from now, will be the $12,000 piece, more than likely, right? It's like playing the long game is so hard as a human being. Like we struggle with it so much, like seeing how long of an arc that you have in this thing, right? Like you have a long arc, and these people are going to keep coming back and back and back. And you don't worry about if they're here today for a $10 piece or $100 piece or $1,000 piece. You just do what you can, you gather the list, and you keep the machine going. And that's how you win. That's how you win over the long term. And for you, I
Yep.
know you're doing all these shows, okay? But I know also those shows are flipping exhausting. The travel, the setup, on your feet, all of that. There is going to be a time when you're going to want to do less and less shows. So all of that work that you're putting in now, you're going to be harvesting on the back end of it after your name gets out more and more and more and more. So I love your game plan. Got to affirm you across the board. And the fact that you are on a record year in what has been economically, we were talking about this early, an extremely crappy year, right? Like people are hurting, inflation is ripping. And I have our internal data to look at. We are friends with some of the biggest print houses in the United States, so we know what their data looks like. Like
Right.
it's been down, right? And
Okay.
I'm so encouraged to hear that you are going to have the record year because you focused on none of that nonsense and just your execution. That's it.
And I have to be honest, like I already have, like, for me, doing more shows was doing 6 traveling shows
Yeah.
and the 2 open studios. Like my work is studio intensive. I already am at the age where I'm like, like I have friends who are just like, I mean, I can't even believe how many shows they do.
Yeah.
And they're out there all the time. And it's very easy for me to get going. I should. And it's like, you know what? I'm just where I should be because, it's everyone has their own path and their own way. Right.
Sure.
And things have unfolded for me that if I do these time consuming, big, beautiful paintings, I'm building it that way. But I am aware of, like, one thing has been interesting. That's a change with the open studio program here. For 10 years, we lived in an area where it was the hub, it was the core. So, twice a year, you get like 250 people come through. So you're planting so many seeds,
So,
right?
yeah.
And now we had to move to a different area. And my visitors are probably like a third of what I used to get. But because I'm at the stage where I've built my business and I take out a full page ad in the collector's guide, which is pricey but worth it, I'm making just as much or more, but it's fewer sales. And there's always this little thing running in my head, which is your voice saying the biggest predictor of your future success is how many sales you make.
Yeah.
So
Number of new customers acquired.
no,
Yes.
okay, so that's where it's like, get out and do these other shows, and also just doing more marketing. There's something that I did want to talk about, which was 2 changes. Getting onto the co-pilot program, right?
Mhm.
Totally helpful and changed things. But then me, myself, with all my talk about how great I'm doing and running the business and loving, still terrible at managing, still going in and out of, like, I'm present, I'm adjusting, I'm going into the co-pilot and I'm personalizing it. Then I'm just like for a month forgetting about it and not doing it. So the other thing that I've done was I found someone to work with who's really reasonable, who's
Mhm.
like, she's my marketing assistant, right? And she works for, like, I pay her for 10 hours a week, and we have a weekly meeting. And she's got an agenda and she keeps track of things. And she's like, here's what I'm thinking we do. And so we work together. And now I'm like, I have assignments, right? I'm not going to show up to a weekly meeting that I'm paying for and not have done what I said I'm going to do. And she'll be like, if you could just go into your studio and take a couple videos, here's
Oh,
some
love
things you
this.
could do.
Yeah.
Just send me the videos. I'll post them for you. Like, that's how much help I need with, like, getting out of my internal space, right?
Yes.
Like, it's so hard for me. I'm 58. I'm not at that age where I grew up with any of this. I'm
Yeah.
not comfortable. There are times when, like, asking me to do an Instagram post is asking, it feels like, well, just take off your clothes and walk naked down a city sidewalk. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you know,
Agonizing. Yeah, I know.
it's agonizing.
I know.
So she's been wonderful, and I'm trying to, I'm really, like, tooting her horn, and she graduated from school with a marketing degree, and I'm like, girl, you can have a business doing this. There are so many artists that need this kind of help.
Oh, they need it so
So
badly. Yeah.
yeah, so she's given me permission to share her information, and it's just been a game changer. She's the one who came up with the idea of sending out emails during Black Friday, like featuring pictures of the tote bags, of the mugs. I hadn't done Instagram posts before, and I had, put some things on. Nobody ever bought them. And so it's like having someone just push me and nudge me and go into your studio. So here's one of my mugs. I did an Instagram post with, like, here's my mug, here's my tote bag,
Yeah, I love it.
and
You have to.
and
You
then
have to.
so it's like someone who met me at one of the art fairs email. She's like, I can't find your tote bags on your website. People are emailing, I can't find your mug. So, one thing just pushes you to another. And so then, the wonderful customer service agents you have is like, can you guys help me make the gift shop? And they just like, boom, here's a gift shop. So now people can find it. And we had a bunch of merch sales,
There you
right?
go. Yeah, and those are new or existing customers, and it's like the other thing too is how many days a week do you have coffee staring at your art, or have a drink staring at your art? Like, it's a lot. Do not understand how powerful that is psychologically, for the people that you sell those things to. Like, you're not going to make any money on a mug, it's piddly paddly dollars, but it doesn't matter. It's just cementing that art, your art, in the prospect's head again and again and again. And by the way, it's a highly, I don't know, for you, for me, that morning coffee is a highly enjoyable thing. That is my own little
Right.
personal fireplace in my hands. Okay. So you're telling me that I am associating one of the things that I enjoy most in this world with your art? How is that a bad
Yeah.
thing? How is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. That's it. That's
yeah.
it. And one of the sales was this woman. She's like, I met you at La Quinta. She bought 13 tote bags of the one image that I have that is Sedona, Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
for a bachelorette party. So
Amazing.
she's going to give them out. And so that then brings me to the next thing, which is like, oh my God, I need to have watermarks on this merch because people are gifting it. You want the people that are receiving it to be able
Yeah.
to go, oh, look at that, Terry Sauve.
Yeah. Or less a watermark and more a QR code, right?
I
So
wish we
yeah,
could put a QR code on the bottom. That
we
would be
need to.
perfect.
We need to. We need to. I feel like, the QR code, COVID like really did us a service with the QR codes when all the restaurant menus like started going to that, and like everyone was like, oh, so that's how these things work. God, I love hearing all of that. Number one. Number two, Terry needs to have her personal yearly best. So we're sitting here 26 days to go. Okay. 26 days to go to close this baby out. Giddy up, anyone that's interested. You gotta just say that to say that.
That's awesome. Thank you. We're
Yeah.
going to do one more sale. We're like trying something, right? And the whole reason this podcast came about was because I reached out to you guys. Like, I jumped the queue. I'm like, I got to ask the top guys this question
Mhm.
because I'm sending out all these emails now advertising merch, and then I'm watching some people unsubscribe that are like, shoot, this woman just bought a $4,000 painting.
Yeah.
She just moved up from Prince over the years. She just bought a $4,000 painting. Now she unsubscribed. So my big question was, should I split my list? Should I
No.
send
No.
out a survey and
Absolutely.
ask?
Absolutely not. But what you should do is, it's not binary, right? In your mind, it's binary. It's like, should I take everyone that are my big collectors and just remove them off this list and send everyone else? No. What you should do is keep all of those people on that same list and email them, and then start sending personal one-off hand emails to all your collectors from time to time. That's what you should do. Just
That's
checking
so
in, just seeing how you're doing, and not from MailChimp or some other nonsense. Right out of
right.
Gmail directly. And I'm telling you, I stole it from, among others. What
Who's
does he
that?
know? Wyland.
Oh,
By the way,
I'm
if you
going to get that book.
get that book, it's if you're a Spotify gal, I think the whole thing's audiobook for free on there. But Wyland talks about the lengths that he goes, like it's extreme. Like, are you sending your collectors Christmas cards?
No.
Harry.
I do send handwritten thank you cards.
Okay, but that's a one-off. That's not an every year.
No, you're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
Okay, that's huge. And now that I have an assistant, she
Call
helps
her
me
and
with
tell her to get the
everything.
collector list. I
She
want them all
does
to get Christmas
everything.
cards. These things have got to hit before Christmas. You're telling me you're going to have one final sale where the collectors are really what are going to get you over the line, and they haven't received a damn Christmas card yet, Terry? Let's go.
Oh my God.
Giddy up.
Okay. Oh my God. You're awesome. You're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, very, very important.
That's what we're up to. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good on both of those. We can talk again in the new year. I want to just send me an email about whether or not you hit your record because I'm very curious. And
Okay.
thanks for sharing all that. Like the rest of the artists find that like so encouraging. You can't let any of the nonsense facts on the ground because you know what you're competing against? Not a shitty economy or a great economy or anything in between. You're competing against Terry's personal best. That's it. That's what you're in competition against. Nothing else. That. Right?
Yeah, and you're in competition. Like you have to do. For me, I should say, I have to do so much to become aware of and overcome like the traps of my thinking
Mm-hmm.
and my mind. Like I mean, for years, you guys would send out these things and it's the marketing calendar. And like it was so overwhelming to me that I just couldn't do any of it because it's like, if in my mind, it's like, if I don't do it all, I'm a failure. I couldn't do any of it. And so just finding ways to be like, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
Bite-sized action, stay consistent. If I'm, doing something is better than doing it perfectly. And then just remembering that, that's like your way to get out of overwhelm is to
Yes.
like get out of your negative thinking, like, oh, I'm a failure if haven't done this. And it's like, and take really acknowledge your wins, like, like really keep track, like, look what I'm doing now that I didn't use, because I could sit here and then go, oh my God, if you compare me to so and so, I'm nothing. I'm not doing nearly what I
No,
could.
it's a
I'm
fool's errand. The
lazy. I'm
comparison
not,
thing is the worst.
oh, my friend is so great. He posts Instagram every day. He's so natural. Da, 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 da. And it's like you have to go, here's where I was. And like, look what I'm doing now. Like just this last month, we set up a gift shop. We ran a sale, like I applied to 3 art shows on time. You just have to keep like, the more that you reinforce what you're doing, it keeps you in that positive spin of now I can do
A
more
hundred
and now
percent.
I can do more.
100%. Are you? I'm gonna ask you one final question before I do that, though. I gotta level you up technologically speaking. Are you a Mac girl or are you a PC girl?
I'm on a Mac.
Okay. Have you messed around with voice yet? Meaning voice, you talk, it types.
No.
Okay. I need you to do that. I think you will find it to be a profound level up, right? Like I'm gonna hold the button right here. I just want you to talk for 10 seconds and I'll tell you when to go. Okay. Go.
Okay. All right. I don't know what you want me to say, so I'm just going to throw out the name of my art marketing assistant, Venla Johnson, and I'd like to share her information with any artist who wants a partner. Is that
So
good?
I just pressed the button. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it as a comment. Can you see the comment?
Uh, where would I find that?
So
I
it's in
see a
it's in the right
microphone, a
sidebar.
video.
It's in the right sidebar. It's the comments. Not only did it nail every single solitary word you said, but there's not one typo. It even got Venla's name right, which I assume is Venla.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm finding that let me put it to you this way. I spend the majority of the day screaming at my computer now. I don't use a mouse anymore.
That's awesome.
Like you still have to use a mouse to go in and out of things, but for artists specifically, because I know, the thought of writing all those emails, to your collectors is daunting. Absolutely daunting. It doesn't have to be long. And when you dictate and it goes right in, it is a glorious thing. So for Mac, there's 2. Okay. And you can, search for them however you search. And
Okay.
both of them have free trials. And I want you to play with it because people don't understand. This is solved. The taking your voice to text instantaneously is solved. And the speed at which the human mind can talk versus type is night and day. You can hammer out like 50 emails in the time that it would take you to do 5. That's how
You know what? I'd always use it with text, and that's how I communicate some things with Venla. Like I asked, it was like, oh, Canvas Rebel, we want to interview you. Here's the questions. Can you type out your answers? And then I responded them. I'm like,
no.
Oh, I said, I thought this was an interview. Absolutely not. I don't have time for it. Then I realized I've got this assistant.
Yeah.
Every day when I go for my walk, I can talk into my phone on text and answer one question. And she
Yeah.
typed it up for me. But if yes, I
This
get it.
doesn't in Siri is like marginal at best. Absolutely marginal at best. So the two of them,
absolutely true.
Yeah. And I'll put this in the
Serious.
show notes. I'll put this in the show notes for everyone else, but it's Whisper Flow is one. And then the one that I
Whisper
use is called Willow Voice. I actually prefer Willow Voice, but a lot of people like Whisper Flow. And the Whisper is spelled WHISPR. Flow.
Okay.
You can try one of those two. It's just, I feel like everyone that knows about it and they're not telling anyone. My God, is it good? It's so good. It's like unbelievably good, right? Like you just get on. I feel like I gotta like screen share so you can actually see how fast it is. Anyway, you get it. To wrap up.
Okay.
What advice would you give fresh out of what seems to be the best art college in the United States, because I teach business? Young, full of encouragement. Terry, what would be your advice for that gal back then, getting started?
Oh my God.
That you know now, I know it's a good one.
I've given so much of it because it really is just like just keep taking the action. Just keep suit up, show up, take the action. And I would also say, like, trust the outcome, right? There's this piece for me that used to be like, oh my God, like if I do this, this, and this, here's what I expect, right? You have to let go of the outcome because there's so much you're not in control of. I had one of my best shows set up at La Quinta, the most beautiful artwork, and she created a new space in the show geographically that on paper looked like it would be great. And all these paths came together and the flow of traffic went like this. And the two of us that were in this area, we sold nothing.
Wow.
And you have to be at peace when that happens, but just trust that, hey, I'm telling the universe by my action that I'm sticking with this and I'm doing it. And you just keep doing that. Your job is the action. God's job is the result. That's one of the big things that I would say. Just stay steady, stay consistent, and find that balance between listening to your heart and like following what you really want to do and balancing that with like what does the market dictate, right?
Yeah.
Like I could make a lot of money doing vineyard paintings, and there's a lot of people that do that, and once in a while I see something really beautiful that has a vineyard in it, but like my perception of beauty is not mass agriculture. So that's just not what I do.
Yeah.
However, when I'm going into a show or an open studio, I do have to say, do I have enough large paintings, medium paintings, small paintings? I know people love my Golden Hills paintings and these juicy sunsets where the sun's coming behind the oak. Like, do I have something along those lines, right? So you're not just selling out and doing what the market dictates. But it's like you do have to find a balance if you're a professional artist of listening to what is true for you and authentic for you and moves you, and how can I fit that into, I got to pay the rent, I got to pay the bills, and meet people with what they want too. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does, and then some. And I love it. And it's an existential crisis, right? Like paying the bills versus selling out versus doing the real and true you versus understanding like if you want to pay the rent, you need to treat it like a business. You know, it's not easy. I love what you said. I think there's more than enough room in today's day and age for artists to be them, right? No one says you have to do it a different way, but understand that there are basic rules to business, and do not listen to anyone that is not selling any damn art, because there's so much poison in the well. Okay, I want everyone to follow Terry on Instagram. What is your Instagram? It's just all one word, right? TERRY.
It's good. There's an underscore, or I think it's Terry underscore Sauve.
Yeah, and everything's going to be in the show notes. This is just for the people that are watching live. If you want to get it now, yeah, it's Terry underscore Sauve, and Sauve is SAUVE. This will be in the show notes and all the places. I'll link up to all the things. Terry needs to get fervently emailing her Christmas cards to all of her collectors. So she is going to rush out and do that right now today. personal note, perhaps on each if you've got them printed. It makes such a big deal. It makes such a big deal. The Christmas card is such a good touch.
I can't even believe sometimes I've had a few clients. One of the things I'll do when I send a thank you card is I'll say, hey, if it's fun and easy for you, I would love to get a photo of the piece hanging in your home.
Yes.
And there's my phone number. And then I'll get a text and people will say, oh my God, it was so lovely to get a card from you. And one woman was, like, oh, I can't believe I got a card from the artist. I'm going to keep it with the painting.
They love it. They love it.
If you don't
Christmas
realize,
card is so unexpected. It's unexpected. There's no ask, right? It's just, hey,
right.
Here's what I'm up to. Relational, thinking about you. I mean, I love every aspect of it. But Terry, you're amazing. I want to check in Q1, hear how you did, and then maybe we'll get into some follow-up nitty-gritty. You're going to get going on the voice things.
Yes, thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you for everything. Like, I've listened to your podcast, and I've, and again, I'm like, oh my God, I can't do all that. There are things you say that I'm like, there's no way, but there's so much that I've taken, and like doing the co-pilot, doing the regular marketing. I mean, again and again and again, your voice is like in there.
Yeah, it's no different for me. I have to keep saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it. Rote is so doggone important.